So this guy was like making fun of people who believe the government should pay for college education, and they're like, "Who's going to pay for that?" Well, it shouldn't come out of my taxes. It should come out of some rich person's taxes. And then he's like criticizing socialism. People believe they're entitled to be on the receiving end of other people's money.
But the fucking hypocrisy of it all.
Here's the deal. Here's the deal. Let me just throw in a couple cents worth for you guys to consider. I do like the idea of capitalism. I think it promotes a very strong economy. Let me just start out by saying that. I do like capitalism. But here's the problem with it. It gets out of hand when you have a person like a CEO or a superstar or somebody that makes a ludicrous amount of money. I'm a capitalist. I would if I had a quote utopian society, I would cap it at like 50 million. I think maybe not that high, but I would certainly cap it at a reasonable amount. Like I would cap it at like 30.
Yeah.
But you have to ask yourself, is anybody in society worth more than 30 million? Like to society, for that matter. You see, and when you have a CEO or you have a superstar or whatever, a big mogul, a big business mogul, and they make 55,000 times more money than their janitor, you have to ask yourself this.
They don't put the nearly amount.
Yeah, exactly. Do they really work 55,000 times harder, or are they just in a better spot, you know? Because, like Shud stated before, money makes money. And the more money you have, it's like in StarCraft, where if I started off with 80,000 SCVs and 5 different expansions, and you only started out with 1 SCV, I would mine a shitload more resources than you in a match. It's the same concept.
This reminds me of one of my old Republican friends talking about, like, oh, well, you know, minimum wage is only for, like, you know, like the young or whatever. Like, you can't go to McDonald's and make a career. That's only for them young people. And I was like, well, dude, like, people work at McDonald's when they're old. Like, they make a career out of it. And not everyone can be a CEO. You know, like, there's not enough CEO positions.
Exactly.
Like, what the fuck are you talking about?
And not everybody's a genius. I'm not, like I said, I love the idea of incentive. I love the idea of hard work, you know, bringing you reward. If that's truly what you believe brings you monetary gain, it's through hard work. I believe a lot of it's luck. But regardless, what I don't like is when the rich get away with these ridiculous tax breaks and shit like that. And it's like they're rewarded money for being rich. And it's like we need to level out the playing field a little bit because the middle class in this country is actually suffering. They're actually going away. They're depleting. And they're depleting because we fucking cater to the rich. And we cater to the poor, but we don't cater to the middle class. I mean, that's why if I would have a more socialist type policy. I wouldn't be completely socialist. I like the idea of capitalism and incentive. But I mean, at the same time, it's like, where did all the unions go? You know, why do companies? Do you know major companies now give pay raises in like the less of 1%? Like they give you a 0.79% raise, which equates to like 16 cents an hour for a lot of people. It's ridiculously low.
Well, if you look at like high right-wing YouTube channels, they talk about how the unions are corrupt and you got to pay your dues. Well, unions are the only ones who created a middle class.
They're the only one that keeps checks and balances. By the way, you're the jump master.
Oh.
They're the only one that keep checks and balances in the system. Otherwise, the company can just force you out whenever they don't like you and they don't have to pay you shit either.
Because they do what's most profitable, not what's right.
You know when? Hey, honestly, you know when Detroit was at its strongest financially? When they had unions. I hate to. The city of Detroit fell apart when Reagan tore up the.
So, anyway, like the TLDR of what I said, or what the post is about, is essentially, I say, hey, like getting medical care would be worth paying more taxes, and paying more taxes for people to go to college would be ultimately worth it because America would be more globally.
But, oh, Michael, you can't do that because if you go to school, they teach fucking liberal views, and that's bad. You know, like science and global warming, which is a demonstrable fact. You can't let these liberals brainwash them.
So, so this guy suggests that instead of us paying taxes for healthcare, he says that I should get health insurance. And I'm like, health insurance is a scam where they make billions of profits off of you and me. Like, the point is that I could be like, hey, what if we all got cool shit and we took care of each other? And the guys are like, no, we can't fucking do that. Like, they fucking throw a fit. Like,
we can't do that.
God forbid we have any quality of life in this country.
What, you want to be like any other fucking country of the first world where they take care of each other and have health care? Are you fucking... It's not possible. How are we going to pay for this? How would we possibly pay for it?
There's no way we could have health care.
There's no way. Now, let's go start $100 billion war in a fucking country that didn't attack us for really no goddamn reason.
New kill leader.
We could like cut the bloated military budget.
All right.
The $1 trillion annual military budget.
They make fucking tanks and shit. They make all this military shit, and we don't fucking need it. We just don't fucking need it. Yeah, one could make the argument that, well, we need to keep all the factories and shit. Well, because what if one day we do need it? Well, I mean, fuck, man. Do we need $1 trillion?
We actually oppress a lot of countries, and I didn't even realize that, but we have troops and bases all over the world, and kind of what we do is really fucked up because
absolutely,
we control and exploit a lot of foreign countries.
Yeah, it's stupid. I mean, we really kind of need to.
So we can get rich people richer. That's basically what that's why people join the military and die, live and die, and fight, so rich people can get richer now. It's...
You ever watch that movie, Jonestown?
So fair for me, though, fellas. I've got to make my money.
See, like, in the movie Jonestown, which is a good fucking movie, by the way, it's a little slow, but if you actually, like, you can get into it, because it is a good movie, but, he talks about how, like, the South... like, all the rich people are not going to war while they are getting sent to go to war and die so they can stay rich. Because they passed, like, a fucking thing, like, if you have so many slaves, you don't have to go to war.
Mm.
And the overall thing of the movie is, you know, kind of like anti-rich. Or, you know, anti-douchebag rich, as I should probably fucking say. Because, like, really, there's no problem with being wealthy. There's no problem with being successful. But, like, when you sell out your fucking countrymen, you're kind of a fucking asshole.
Yeah. I just don't understand the concept of being a working class man and being so opposed to your working class.
Yeah, that's what I don't get. Dude, do you know how many people in my life vote Republican, even though they're white collar and they literally get by paycheck to paycheck?
It's Fox
you know,
News.
with
it's fucking.
I remember,
propaganda.
dude. I remember I grew up. My buddies. He wasn't poor, but they literally lived paycheck to paycheck.
Have you watched Fox News recently? It is 100% fake fucking, like, outrage. Fake outrage.
It's like propaganda.
Yeah, it's straight fucking... I didn't mean to call enemy. I'm sorry. Disregard that.
But yeah, but what I'm saying is that it's literally like their whole fucking family lived paycheck to paycheck. And he was a huge-ass Republican, and he's like, oh, well, they deserve to be rich, and blah, 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 blah. I'm like, dude, do you realize, like, it's, like, almost 100% luck? Like, being born into it, fucking having money so you can make money. You're never going to be rich. And everybody thinks that they're going to be rich. That's the illusion that capitalism creates.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody, it's just like slavery. Everybody wanted to own a slave, but only the very wealthy could afford slaves. So, but people defended it because they thought that they would be able to own slaves too.
One day we're gonna make it. We're gonna
Exactly. That's
but you're
that's
not.
the whole propaganda. Well, when I get rich, I don't want them being like that to me, so I'm going to defend them. Like they're so you're never going to be rich
Never
because
gonna be rich because you got to have money to
no,
make.
there's no such thing. I'm telling you, economics 101. There has never been an economy, unless if you got some sort of atomic displacement unit that can produce anything with the snap of its finger out of thin air. You will never ever find an economy with limited wants and unlimited resources. There's no such thing. You have to have a rich class, and you have to have the majority of them be poor. Otherwise, you can have them all middle class. You can have an equal distribution of wealth. That's called communism. And everything in between is a little bit of each. But I'm telling you right now, like the way we got it is really fucking lopsided. Like it's a lot of wealthy people, or a few wealthy people, and a lot of fucking poor.
You got like one family that makes like more than
and some of the better economic systems, I would say, are economic systems that are heavier, like have a bigger, stronger middle class, which actually communism tries to create. I mean, communism looks good on paper, but it's so fucking.
Well, any corruption fucks up any system. So you got like, you know, uppers in like a communist like Russian system, and they're driving in their, you know, fancy cars.
Russia's system wasn't too bad. I mean, they kept up with the U.S. for about 50 years, 40 years. But eventually they withered away, and I think a lot of it had to do with like the fact that America was dumping money in a countries to prevent them from going. Otherwise, it would have spread like wild.
You cut out there. You prevent them from going what?
From going communist, because communism is very easy to go to because it sounds so good for all the poor.
Yeah, like on paper.
Yeah, America's like communism doesn't work. We're like sabotaging communist states left and right. Socialism doesn't work. Fucking displacing socialists.
I'm coming back.
Well, America didn't like communism because, obviously it was Russia, and Russia was their biggest enemy. If Russia was fascist, they wouldn't like fascist. You know what I mean?
That left guy came out of nowhere. We're fucked, Vet. I'm sorry. I mean, again, Vet, like, I agree with you. I like the idea that you can make a business.
I mean, I like the incentive is great. I mean, incentive is really great. You know, like but incentive only works so far. And what I mean by that is like if you're a doctor and you pay for the schooling and you go through all that work, it's 10 years, and then you get to be a doctor. And then when you're 30, you got to work until you're 65, and you got to work 55 hours a week, and it's a high stress job. Your brain is going 24/7. You got to go into surgeries. You get your people have their lives dependent on you. Yeah, they deserve to make $500,000 a year, $300,000 or $400,000. But who needs to make more than that? Who needs to be worth 20 or 30 million? I would say in my society it'd be really lenient because I would allow people to have 30 million, but I guarantee you nobody would have more than 30 million. If you make a penny over 30 million, you're That's fucking mine, it's just going straight to the government.
Also, the amount of greed we're talking about here is obscene. Like, they're making all this money and they're still trying to avoid paying like a fair share of taxes.
Well,
which would not
there is one thing I would allow. I would allow you to invest it in your business to make it bigger if it's for the betterment of the country.
Yeah, like giving raises, expanding.
Yeah, giving raises, expanding, etc.
Etc. Yeah, like
you would have to prove that you're using the money for that and not just for personal.
Introducing your champion. Follow my path to win.
You could award accolades to people that make more money and that do good for the society. You could throw them benefits and stuff. But I mean, why do you need to really be worth more than 30 million? Why do you need to have a private yacht or a private jet or anything?
You really don't.
Do you really need all that shit? I mean, can you not live unless if you have that shit?
There's really, if you think about it logically, there's really no reason that anyone needs their own personal fucking jet.